Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we will discuss another horrific case. A heartbreaking story about a man who seemed to be the pillar of his family but became the one to destroy it. He was a husband and a father, someone who was supposed to love and protect the lives of his loved ones. But instead, he was the one who took it all away. Why would a family man listen to the demons inside, urging him to commit such a monstrous act? On that day, nothing could stop this man from carrying out his brutal act. Despite the cries, fear, and horror in the eyes of those he loved the most. This is a story that reminds us that even the most ordinary people can hide dark motives, becoming a ticking time bomb, waiting to explode. We send our deepest condolences and sympathy to all those who knew and loved the victims in this case. A heartbreaking tragedy at the Manoa family. On March 10, 2024, a tragedy occurred in the quiet neighborhood of Manoa, Honolulu. Paris-Oda, a 46-year-old man, callously took the lives of his entire family before committing suicide. Oda used a kitchen knife to stab and kill Anaoko Oda, wife, 43 years old; Sakurado Oda, eldest daughter, 17 years old; Aorio Oda, son, 12 years old; and Inanna Oda, youngest daughter, 10 years old. After killing his family, Oda took his own life, ending all the lives in this household. This was the second horrific murder case in Honolulu in the past 25 years. Oda was known as a chiropractor specializing in back and neck problems. He appeared to be successful, someone no one would suspect of committing such a terrible crime. Paris-Oda had an office near the famous Ala Moana Center shopping mall. If you looked at his social media pages, like Facebook or Instagram, you might think he was calm, peaceful, and gave no sign of danger. However, in 1997, as a teenager growing up on the beautiful island of Kauai, Oda had a minor criminal history. He was arrested for trespassing on someone else's property. It seemed that after this incident, Oda learned his lesson, and his criminal record was expunged after he stayed out of further trouble. On a Sunday morning, the police received an emergency call from 911. The caller reported hearing screams coming from a house on Waloa Place. The police immediately arrived at the scene, specifically at the Oda family's home at 3622 Waloa Place. The time was 8:34 a.m. However, when they arrived, the police could not find the caller. They knocked on the Oda family's door, but no one answered. After listening for a moment, they heard no strange noises. When they asked a nearby neighbor, the neighbor said they had not heard anything unusual. Everything in the area seemed calm and normal, leading the officers to believe it might be a false alarm. But what they didn't know at that moment was the horror happening inside the house. Hoping for more information, the police tried to call the phone number that had reported the incident. But an unexpected issue arose. The phone number was from another country. The police system was unable to make the call back, a limitation in their tracking capabilities they were trying to resolve. This meant they could not immediately contact the caller to verify details. With the vague clues, the officers had to proceed with the best course of action. They carefully searched the area around the Oda family's house, trying to detect any signs that something was wrong. They recorded what they observed and then left the scene. When they returned to their patrol car, the time was almost 9 a.m. However, just 15 minutes after the police left the Oda house, the 911 caller contacted them again. This time, an officer immediately returned to the address in Manoa. When they arrived, they found the caller waiting outside the house. It was a young woman, a tenant in the Oda family's home. Clearly, she was terrified. Her hands were shaking, her face was pale, and her voice was full of worry. With clear anxiety, she recounted what had happened. She explained that while she was sound asleep, around 2 to 2:30 a.m., she was suddenly awakened by loud screams. The screams grew louder and seemed to come from just outside her room. In a state of panic, she quickly locked the door, her heart pounding, too frightened to do anything else. Then she saw blood seeping from under the door, slowly spilling onto the floor. Too scared to go outside, she stayed in her room, enduring it until she could not wait any longer. She then decided to climb out the window to escape and immediately called the police. The officers immediately proceeded to the scene described by the caller. Upon arriving at the front door of the house, they discovered that it was locked tight. Despite their efforts, they could not open the door, which only increased the sense of unease about what might be happening inside. Looking through the window, the police saw an unmoving figure inside, unresponsive to their repeated calls. Realizing the severity of the situation, they decided to act immediately. With their guns drawn, the officers carefully went around to the back door and broke into the house. What they saw inside was truly horrifying. Paris Oda was lying in the hallway, his body covered in stab wounds, blood spreading across the floor. He was dead, and the officers quickly realized they were standing in the middle of a crime scene. Continuing to search each room, the police discovered other bodies: Oda's wife, Naoko, and their 3 children, Sakurako, Orion, and Nana. Each had deep cuts on their hands and wrists, signs that they had fought back. However, the fatal wounds had led to their deaths. Based on the evidence and the testimony of the tenant, the police concluded that the incident occurred between 2 and 2:30 a.m. when the first scream was heard. Further investigation revealed that Oda had been struggling with financial issues for a long time. In 2023, he had encountered serious troubles, and in February 2024, he confessed to his wife that he had not paid taxes for several years. Oda stated that he would rather die than go to jail for tax evasion, even expressing his intention to kill his family and burn the house to free them. In February, he texted his wife, mentioning that they needed a plan to do it and take the whole family with him, as he believed no one could care for their children better than he could. The phrase "do it" would be clarified later. Oda also tried to purchase a gun in March, but was unsuccessful. Despite the serious warning signs, Oda had never had a history of violence, making his actions even more perplexing and shocking. But you can never predict the true intentions of a man who feels powerless and useless in the face of his family. On that fateful morning, everything seemed to spiral out of control, mirroring the dark thoughts he had been nurturing. On a Friday afternoon, Lieutenant Dina Thoems of the Honolulu Police Department stood before a crowd of reporters. She shared important details about the ongoing investigation. According to Lieutenant Thoems, as the police delved deeper into Paris Oda's life, they found that he had been struggling with financial problems since late 2023. Oda had trouble paying bills on time. He was behind on car payments, tuition fees, and other loans. He confided in a family member, admitting that he felt overwhelmed by the responsibility of handling these issues. Oda also shared his concerns with his wife, and the two tried to work together to stabilize the situation. However, their efforts proved unsuccessful. For months, Oda had been trying to sell a second property in Aiea with the help of a real estate agent, but this did not alleviate his problems. By February 2024, Oda confessed to his wife that he had not paid taxes in years. His chiropractic practice was also in crisis, with a lack of patients to cover his bills. To make ends meet, Oda even started driving for Uber. Lieutenant Thoems shared these details with the public, painting a clear picture of Oda's situation before the tragedy. She also reiterated that in mid-February, Oda had texted his wife, saying they needed to make a plan to do it. He referred to a plan they had discussed, one to end their lives along with their children. Oda had reached his breaking point. He felt he could no longer go on and believed no one could care for his children better than he could. In his twisted thinking, he believed that if he and his wife had to go, their children should not be left behind. His wife, Naoko, tried to stay optimistic. She suggested the family should start anew in Japan, where her parents lived. But Oda was physically and mentally exhausted. He felt he had nothing left to give. From that point, he began to withdraw, becoming silent and gradually distanced from his family. This marked a turning point in their story, as the difficulties of the past few years had finally become unbearable. During the investigation, the police found an important text message that later became a key piece of evidence in understanding what happened next. As March arrived, the financial burden on Oda grew heavier. Tax season was approaching, and it left him feeling drained. He had discussed with a real estate agent about selling their home in Manoa, hoping to escape financial pressures. But his fear and anxiety had taken a darker turn. At this point, Oda began sharing with family members that he would rather die than face the humiliation of going to prison for tax evasion. In a desperate statement, he even threatened to harm his family and burn down their house. During this time, Oda had contacted someone to make a chilling request. He wanted a gun. Fortunately, that person never responded. Hawaii News now had a conversation with Annette Oda, Paris Oda's mother. Annette shared that her son grew up on the beautiful island of Kauai, and now her family was struggling to understand what had happened. When asked if she had noticed any signs of abnormal behavior, Annette was reserved, not wanting to go into details. She simply said it was a very sad story, and the family was trying to find answers. As the Oda family continued to face their grief, Paris Chiropractic Clinic in the Pan Am building closed down. A former patient, Martha Randolph, expressed her shock upon learning that Oda had harmed his family. Martha confirmed that there had been no signs that he was going through a dark period. According to her, Oda always behaved properly and was a dedicated doctor. However, now she felt confused and scared, realizing he could do something so evil to those he loved the most. A neighbor and family friend shared fond memories with Hawaii News Now. They recalled that sometimes Naoko, Oda's wife, would help at her husband's chiropractic clinic. The Oda family was very excited about their eldest daughter Sakurako's future, who was about to graduate from Iolani School. They had even looked into college options for her, both in Hawaii and on the mainland. Sakurako had big dreams. She wanted to become a nurse and a great chef. She had a close relationship with her mother. In 2019, the two participated in the Hapalua Marathon and finished just 3 spots apart. The tragic event involving the Oda family left an undeniable mark on the community. On a Monday, Hawaii News Now interviewed neighbors who lived near the family. Most of them admitted they didn't know the Oda family well, but all were deeply shocked by the tragedy that had occurred. The event had a profound effect on everyone in the neighborhood. One woman was so overwhelmed that she cried all day long. Neighbors struggled to comprehend how such a horrific tragedy could unfold. Irvin Yoshino, a neighbor of the Oda family, shared that the situation was truly heartbreaking, and everyone felt as though they had lost a part of their own family. Another neighbor, speaking with Hawaii News Now, mentioned that he had sensed something was off with the Oda family. He noticed that they seemed sad and appeared to be enduring something unspoken. In the aftermath of this devastating event, the schools attended by the victims implemented support measures to help students and staff cope with their emotions. 3 schools on the island of Oahu invited counselors to provide psychological support for those grieving. Iolani School, where Sakurako attended, sent an email to parents on Sunday evening, inviting students, teachers, and staff to attend a meeting to share their feelings. The school even held a special prayer service the following morning. Orion, a 6th grade student at SEQS Charter School in Nuuanu, also received similar support. The school principal notified parents that crisis counselors were available to assist students in dealing with their pain. Nana, the youngest of the Oda children, had attended Manoa Elementary School, where teachers and staff worked hard to support the student community during this challenging time. The Department of Education sent a letter to parents, suggesting the formation of a crisis intervention team to support the school community. All 3 schools decided to help students and staff cope with the loss of friends, students, and classmates. They wanted to ensure that everyone had someone to talk to and a safe place to express their feelings. Britt Young, a therapist who supports families, emphasized the importance of parents talking to their children about what happened. However, she noted that the explanation should be age-appropriate. Britt explained that younger children, such as elementary and middle school students, might feel scared and anxious. They may think that if one person can harm children, others might do the same. Parents can reassure and talk with their children to help them feel safer. For teenagers and young adults, Britt suggested that parents should engage in open and honest conversations. Allowing them to ask questions and answering thoughtfully helps children better understand and process their emotions. Britt stressed that simply being present, listening, and offering comfort can make a significant difference. By talking in ways that are appropriate for the child's age and needs, parents can help their children feel supported and start to heal. On a Tuesday evening, the Waikiki community came together to express their sorrow over the untimely passing of the Oda family. Hundreds gathered on the grassy field at Waikiki Shell to remember and honor the three Oda children, Sakurako, Orion, and Nana. Those organizing the prayer service wanted to create a space for those who knew the Oda family to gather, share their grief, and support each other. This was an opportunity for classmates, friends, teammates, and teachers to express their memories of the three siblings they cherished as friends and peers. As night fell over Waikiki, the crowd gathered on the lawn to share their pain and memories of the Oda family. It was an emotional evening. Many people were in tears, hugging each other for comfort. Stories about the impact Sakurako, Orion, and Nana had on those around them were shared. Even more than 2 weeks after the tragedy, many were still struggling to accept the heartbreaking reality. Matilda Tamases, who had played soccer with Nana, shared how hard it was to believe what had happened. She said that even seeing something as simple as a soccer field could bring back sad memories and make her cry once again. A GoFundMe page was set up to raise funds for the Oda family's funeral expenses. Taurus Manzano, Paris Oda's eldest daughter from a previous relationship, along with her mother Annalyn, organized the campaign. They hoped to raise $100,000 to cover funeral costs and legal proceedings. The community came together to support the Oda family in any way they could. This tragic case raises difficult questions. What could drive someone to commit such an horrific act against their own family? It's a question that lingers, challenging us to understand the emotional and psychological factors that can lead to such a devastating loss. If you have thoughts or reflections on this case, please share them in the comments below. If you'd like to see more similar content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to stay updated on the latest true crime videos. Thank you for following, and we'll see you in the next video.